Hey guys, Cindy over at paper.old.new. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me today. I am back to you with a making from my mess. If I do this right, I'll start getting them out every Monday again. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm kind of winging it, kind of not. I know what I want to do. I'm not sure how this is going to go as far as videos go. Something you can do with your scraps, right? That's what we've been working on is scraps. I sat down and I went through a ton of my scraps last night. You can see all these strips over here to the side. I made some of them into strips. Some of them I just dug out. They were already strips. And then some of them I punched into little squares. So I have all these squares. All the same size kind of deal. Okay. And we are going to make some like patchwork quilt style sheets with these. So what I want to do is, this is a piece of cardstock that I will probably never use. It came in a pad. I have 3 of these. They're 8 by 8. I also have some 12 by 12 here that we may cut down before we start putting strips on it, or you can put strips on it and then cut it down, however you want to do it. But I'm thinking for time wise, because I might not be able to cover the whole thing before it starts getting too monotonous. So basically what I'm doing is you'll see I punched a bunch of circles out of this. And I'm going to salvage this strip right here. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to, well, if it'll cooperate, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to cut, okay. I'm just going to cut this. We're done messing with it. We'll hope for straight. Oh, wow. My blade really is dull. Okay. And then I'll just take my scissors and cut it off So, in the interest of salvaging, now that can go by the wayside. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to glue it down on here. Okay? And we're going to do this with several of our strips. Well, we're going to fill this page up. And you don't necessarily, I will say, all the strips don't have to be the same size, but I think it will start getting really complicated if when I go to put this strip on, and then my strip right here should be that width. Now below it, as long as the 2 strips that sit next to each other are the same width, they don't have to be the same width as the one above it. But I will say that I think that the one right next to it should be the same. Otherwise, it's going to start getting really unwieldy to try and Tetris your strips together. So I want to find another one that's that width. This might be where your problem comes in. If you haven't been cutting them all the same width on purpose, then you're going to have to kind of, you know, figure it out. Like that is not exactly the same width. And while it doesn't seem like it would matter, once you get it all together, that gap is going to show. Does that make sense? I feel like you get where I'm coming from on that. I do have paper and card mixed in here. I don't know how well they'll both do. Like if you put them together. Are these the same width though? They are. So it might end up being that I put them together anyway, just out of the fact that it's not that much of a difference, I feel like. I'm just going to put this one on here. And we're going to fill up this whole piece of paper like this. All right. So that's that one. And now when you go down to the next row, my suggestion would be to, oh, look, I have more of the polka dots in case I want them later. My suggestion would be to not line your seams up. If you see what I'm getting at, don't line your seams up. I feel like it would make for a more interesting project if you don't line them up. Okay, we're using up as much of our scraps as we can. And so I might put this one in here like this rather than lining it up there. And they don't even have to be big pieces. I mean, let's get a few rows done. And then we'll see how we look. Did I do what I think I just did? I did. I put glue all the way back to that end and then all the way back to that mark that I made, and then I didn't line it up with that mark. Okay. This is going to be very messy, guys. What about this? Is this the same width? No, but we'll keep it for the next one down. Okay, now we need something the same width as that. And I'm just going through everything I've got still here from all of my cutoffs. I mean, this is all just, and I probably like took a strip of this and made squares with it first. Just one of these fit. Is that the same size? Oh no, that's too small. Darn it. And of course, I don't know. You might not be able to find two strips that are perfectly alike. It also might behoove you to figure out if they're the right widths before you put them down, like match two up. I don't know what's going on with that one. Match two up before you put them down so that you're not doing what I'm doing right now, because this is what will take a while. It's like doing a puzzle, except you have no picture and you're making it up as you go. Is that the same width? That's the same width. We're bringing in a totally different color. That's the other thing. You're going to have to decide whether or not you're okay with just throwing any old color in there, because you're not always necessarily going to find a strip that's the right width that matches the color profile you got going on so far. And for some people, maybe that doesn't matter. And as you're going down, if you include the colors further down, then eventually the whole sheet is going to look fine and it's going to all match up. And of course, you can always just trim them. So like if this is not the right width, I can always trim it. Like if I mark it right there. Let me get my little trimmer. And I say, okay, we're going to trim this. Okay. Like that. And then hopefully this is the right width. Okay. Now I'm doing this with my Fabri-Tac, and you could probably, if you have a sewing machine, you could do this with glue stick, because my next step is going to be on the sewing machine. Hopefully. All right, now I got one of these. I think it's fun to just kind of throw all of these patterns together, and you kind of end up creating your own pattern paper. That's the only thing about this, like I said, about this whole process is getting the strips lined up. Oh, that one works. What do I want to do? You know what? We're going to do this side. Ugh. My glue's oozy. It's all oozy. Set it up there. All right. I think these are, if you have like some time and you're just sitting in front of the TV with nothing to do and you know, have an urge to put some, to, you know, get rid of some of your scraps, I feel like this is a great way to do that. You're basically, I got a nice dent in my scrap box sitting in front of the TV and punching the squares last night. And I just punched the squares. And then a lot of times what happened was I had like a wide piece, like say something like this, and I would punch squares down one side and it would leave me enough to keep a strip on the other side, which I probably could do with that. But the other thing is if you've got a little teensy tiny gap, one of the thoughts would be that maybe you could, what do you call? It might disappear in the sewing. Like when we put the seams in, because we're going to put stitches on these because I think it looks really nice. Again, I'm looking for thin, 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 thin. Still enough. Ooh, that might be perfect. If something's not cut straight, but so it's going to be kind of like a quilt where we get all of our pieces on here and then we're going to run stitches. And my sewing machine is in such a place that I can't really film my sewing. You don't want to see me sew anyway. That would turn you off of sewing altogether. Trying to watch me sew. You could also do short. Like I could pull this in really short. I'm going to make a really short one on this end. And there's nothing that says you have to do 2. I mean, this is 8 by 8. If I wanted to, I could do a strip in here. Of course, I'm having enough trouble finding 2 that are the same width. I might not want to press my luck. I was going to say you could do a piece in the middle and then a piece on the end. If you've got some short pieces. That might work. And you notice how none of this matches. I mean, I'm going up this piece of paper and like none of it matches. I am going to do a long. I said I was gonna. I'm struggling with getting pieces that are the same size, so can't really. Beggars can't be choosers at this point. Okay. But maybe I can do it on this row. Probably not. This is the width I'm struggling with. Let's back this up a little bit. I'm going to put it on right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it on at the other end. You know why? Because these are too close to the same color. And I'm trying to move some of the color through this thing. So we're going to put it on right here. I'm trying to put it on down the other end because I'm overlapping the paper by like a hair. And having something to butt it up against helped. Okay, and then this piece, we're going to make even with the bottom down here. And I'm going to take it off right. Let's cut it right here. And you know what I might do? I might just... Oh, I didn't cut it straight. I was going to say I might just turn it over and put the other piece from the back right on there like that. Yeah, let's do that. Then I don't have to go hunt a piece that's the same. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, because I still have all this room to cover, we're going to see if we can't repeat some of our patterns. So I'm going to cut all my ends off. And we're going to continue our sheet. This will do two things. It will use up our whole scrap, hopefully. And it will tie the top in, like the colors that we used in the top will get tied in down here at the bottom. Okay. Now we're not necessarily going to have enough to fill it, but what I can do... All right, you ready? Put this one on here. Just like that. And then we'll put this one on. I was trying to think if there's anything monumentally exciting going on, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of quiet. I've been doing a lot of work on my digitals, and I'm kind of in the midst of putting something together right now, so I'm not... I keep missing out on coming up here and crafting because I'm trying to get some more digital kits made. It's a rough one. This is what I was talking about when I started this video, and I said I don't know how this is going to go, so you guys have to bear with me. This is what I meant. You have to bear with me. But I think I'm going to make it a piece from the other side. So I'm just going to tear that off like that. And we're going to use this side. I know it didn't get used in the top part, but I think it'll be okay. Well, I just got glue all over something. So I put glue all the way out to the end, and I shouldn't have. All right, now we get down to these itty-teeny pieces. I mean, you have to decide whether or not that's worth keeping. Plus, it's got glue on both sides of it, so I'm going to go no on that one. Okay. Now, where were we? All right. How about this guy at this end? Put him like that. And I think I have this little bitty piece of this. But I also have this strip right here. Now, obviously, unless you're like the perfect cutter, not all your strips are going to be perfectly straight. Not all of your, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have spots that, where there's a gap, and you're going to have spots that don't line up exactly right. And that's okay. Because like I said, I'm going to put this through my sewing machine, and hopefully some of that will get hidden. I'll make no promises, but we're hoping. I'll put it on this side since it's on this side over here. Make it a little bit longer. The weather's kind of nice here today, so we're planning on cooking out. So that'll be fun. You guys are people having nice weather? We've been having a lot of rain. I mean, not that I complain about rain, but we've been having a lot of rain. I'm trying to get some variety. In the way the pieces go together. What'll be nice about doing the patchwork one, this is kind of a stripes one. What'll be nice about doing the patchwork one is it's all going to be, they're all going to be the same size. I punched them with the same punch. Squares are all going to be the same size, which would be nice. I don't have to worry about fitting, making them fit. Ooh. Okay. Let's see, for this one, I don't know if it would make a lot of difference for me to just trim it a little bit. Okay, so let's put that in there. Like that. Now, the one I had up against these orange dots, we used both pieces. So we're going to have to line something else up there. I'm wondering if that might work. And then I've got this one little bitty square right here. What I like about these two is it seems like no matter what you do, they look okay. I mean, even though none of that goes together, I mean, that is like a mismatch of Lord only knows what, but it all seems to fit. It doesn't. Okay, first of all, there's glue on the end of that. So if I'm going to use this side again, and then we're going to trim it. A little bit more. Nice. Okay. Put this here. And what I'll do is I'll give you, there'll be a little break and I'll go to my sewing machine. I can take these off. And of course, depending on what you're going to use these for, like, for example, depending on what I decide I'm going to use this thing for, because more than likely what I would do is cut it in half, make 2 tags or 2 cards or something out of it. And that would give me, oops, getting glue everywhere, guys. The other thing I want to kind of let this do is dry a bit before I go sticking it in my sewing machine. One of the recommendations I've heard a lot of people, because it dries quick and you don't have to worry about how well it sticks, so it's not a big deal, is people use glue stick. And you stick it down with glue stick, and then you don't have to worry about how well it holds because you're going to be sewing it. And again, I know I didn't use this on above, but it color-wise matches, and I'm going to go ahead and... So for the strips, what you might want to do is either you've cut all your strips the same width, or maybe you go, before you start one of these, you go and pair strips up and make sure that you have strips that are all the same width before you start. So you're not fumbling around in the dark like me. It's my favorite pastime. Okay, and then these hung over at the bottom a little bit, so we'll cut them off. Only because I want the whole card to be the same thickness. Now for me, you guys know me, I don't like the punch through holes on my stitching. So we'll have to see how that goes with this, but more than likely the back of mine would get covered. But there you have like a patchwork thing. And then when we stitch around it, it's going to add a whole new look to it. So let me move some of these strips out of the way. My little bits and pieces, because I'll probably sit here and do this with some more. Or at the very least, I'll sit and do some lining up of strips and pair some off so that I have strips of the same width to put together. And yeah, that'll make it a lot easier. Now, let's do squares. This is going to be fun, except for the fact that I'm going to have to dig through this pile of squares to find pieces that I like. I like these. These. They're both sides. Like this one. Let's see what we can find in here that we can maybe match ahead of time. Now, I have a lot more wiggle room with this only because, as far as paper and card go, because there's a lot more of them, so I can mix and match paper and card as I so see fit. The double-sided ones are a lot of fun because, of course, you get two sides to choose from. Let's see what do we got here. There's some more of that. Here's some more. These are also card. These aren't, but they're a heavy paper, so I might be able to make them work. Again, I'm not saying that it won't work if you use two different thicknesses, because once you get it all sewn down, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Okay, let's get a piece of paper over here and start gluing. So this is going to take the same form as the others. We're just going to start gluing squares down. Oh, glue is leaking. So I keep thinking, how is everybody? I don't know what everybody's been up to. Like I said, I haven't been up to much. Oh wow, that other one took us a while. Okay. I mean, I've been working on some digitals, and I'm hoping to get more kits out soon. You guys really got to go over and visit my shop. Check out my kits. See, here I'm being picky. Ooh. This would be a good place for one of these, I think. I'm working on one that I really like the idea of, so I'm excited to get it going. And I'm hoping to have it done relatively quickly. I think the hard part is I get all the pages made. And then my hardest part, I think, is then I want one that you can see the where's that here? Okay. is deciding what kind of like extra ephemera stuff to make for the ephemera kit that goes with whatever kit I'm making. So I think that's my hardest part. But, yeah. See how nicely they fit together because I punched them all with the same. I don't have to worry about them fighting with each other, which also means that I can do things like this. Where was the... I know I had more of these. I want this one. Anyway. So yeah, I've kind of been... And I'm looking for inspiration for kits. Right now, the biggest thing I've been working on is like the background papers. So, or the backgrounds that I can use to make papers, if that makes sense. Okay, now what I may run into with this is, I don't know yet, but I may run into with this is that these squares might not come out to, like I said, this is an 8x8 piece of paper. I don't know if these squares come out to being, yeah, the square size I'm using might not work out to evenly 8x8. So I'll have to see. Well, I haven't done one of these on this side. See, it's not, I think we're going to have a border, if that makes sense. Well, I know it makes sense. I just mean, I'll put this up here. I also have more of these sewn pieces, which I like the sewn pieces. I think I'm going to put one of these sewn pieces on here, down at this end. Okay, all the other ones have gone like that, so I'm going to put this one this way. Because it was being difficult. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, this one's going to go this way. And I think I'll put it, actually I'm going to put it right here. It's like a puzzle. I like these square ones. They're easier, and it's like a puzzle. You can kind of mix and match wherever you want them to go, and you don't have to worry about them not fitting. Where would I want to put one of these? I want to put one right there, but let's wait till we get there. So, like I said, we're cooking out. This is the end. I'm filming it's the end of June. This week coming up marks the 4th of July on Friday, and we're going to cook out again. I hope. Depends on the weather, I suppose. Both my sons are working. So there's that. Do I use this in here? Yeah, actually I do. We're going to use them just like that. Today's just going to be, we're going to do hamburgers, like on the grill. But we've been getting a lot of rain. And I don't, like I said, I don't dislike rain. It's just that it just seemed like it was every day. It was driving me crazy, if I'm honest. That's very bright, isn't it? Put it right in there. So I was happy to see the sun, and I'm severely affected by lack of sun. So if I go too long without sun, it's detrimental to my health and the people around me. I'm not even kidding. Seeing some gapping, which is weird. Oh, I didn't put this one down, did I? All right, I'm going to finish putting squares on this one. And then I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and I'm going to sew it, and then I'll bring it back and show it to you, and we'll call it a day. And I hope that this is like something that appeals to you as far as a project for making things out of various crazy that you have laying around. I don't want that one. I mean, I know we all have it. It's inevitable to what we're doing that we end up with a lot of crazy laying around that needs used up. No, stop that. I'm seriously looking at it going, that's what I want to show, and sticking glue on it. That's seriously what I am doing. There's going to be a little bit of texture on that one. It's not quite so bad that I can't put it down, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I'm going to start paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm telling you guys, this is why I go quiet in videos. If I don't pay attention, stuff like that happens. Okay. Now, we can use another one of these. I'm almost done. I got three more squares to lay down. Good enough. Okay, we're gonna put this one down. Okay, so again, I was very ambitious with my 12x12s over here. But not for nothing, I do have those pieces of scrapbook paper that I do plan on covering with strips or squares or something. And I do want to use my strips, so I'm going to be doing more of these. So, all right, and then all you do, again, is cut. I'm going to cut off around here just because I don't have any more paper to glue to. And I mean, not for nothing, that could be a strip. It's got some curly Q on it. It's got some stripes on it. Strip. Add to my strip pile. Okay, so there's that one. Oh, no. We forgot one. How did I do that? Okay, guys. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to let those dry, and then I'm going to put some stitches in them, and I'll bring them back to you. Okay, so as you can see by all the little stringy things, I've been over to my sewing machine. Now, while I had the video paused, I made another one of the square ones, and I haven't used my sewing machine in a while, guys, so I was experimenting. You'll see some weird patterns in the stitches, but I think these look great. I love the fact that the stitches, the stitching adds something to them. You can pretty much do, whatever with this now that you've got it. I could fold it in half, make a little booklet out of it. I could cut it up into tags or, whatever this is. Now, I'm one for, obviously I sewed on this side, so this is my back side. And I don't know, the way it punches through and tears, these little holes that it leaves, I don't like them. I'm not a fan of this. So this will get covered. The other thing I don't do normally is I don't backstitch. I messy stitch, but I don't backstitch. So I get a little worried about them coming out because, the holes are relatively big that you punch in paper. And for the threads to slip out of these holes is not it doesn't take anything. So if they're real short, so I tend to wait to cut all my strings off until I have backed this. So I would put it on, like, say, this is a piece from my apple journal, but I would just glue it like this and then cut it out. And then this would cover up all the stitching, and I could make journaling cards and whatnot out of it. I would even do it with some scrap copy paper or something if I was going to cut this up and make pockets out of it. That way I don't have to worry about sliding things in and out of my pocket and getting caught on the stitches. So that's my thought with that. This was the one I made off camera. The two that we made on camera. So here's the one with all the strips. And as you can see, I went all around the whole thing, and then I went along the straight edges, and then I came back and did the individuals. And I had to change out, I ran out of thread right here. My bobbin ran out of thread, and then when I was spooling my bobbin, it used up the rest of what was on my spool. So I had to change threads and everything. Anyway, I just thought that was funny that it happened in the middle of my project. And once I got it all fixed, it was sewing upside down, so I had to mess with the tension and fix the bobbin and do the stuff. And I finally got it fixed, and then I went back and I did all these little zigzags in between. There's no straight way to do it, and I tried to think about, well, what if I went around like this and then around like that, and I felt like I was going to end up double stitching over spots if I did it that way. So I just, all the way around, across the straights, and then I went back and I did each individual little one, which is why I have all these extra strings. Again, I will back this. Excuse my thread mess. I will back this, and then I will cut all my strings off, because I feel like the glue, when I back it, the glue will help secure anything that wants to try and back out of one of the stitch holes. Okay, and then here's the quilted one that we put together on camera. And I finally figured out what I was doing wrong to make my stitches all wonky. So these are, for the most part, even. And I have a few spots where they're not straight, but for the most part, they're even. So I was really pleased with how these turn out. I love these. I probably am going to make more of them. I can't tell you how much I love the way they turn out. Of course, now that it looks like this, I don't want to cut it apart. Having said that, if you do cut it apart, this is all stitched around the edge. So if you do, like if I do cut a tag out of this, I might have to go back and say I cut around these stitches here and I cut my tag out. I might have to go back and stitch the edge of this, whatever I make this card into. So you might have to do a little bit of stitching if you cut it apart. But I hope you like this idea for something to do with all your strips and scraps. Again, another thing with punches, I used my square punch and made these. My only other thought, and I'll leave you with this last thought, is you could now take these squares, depending on how really, really intricate you wanted to get with this, and you could do one of those flower quilt patterns or the diagonal ones with the, where you cut them on the diagonal and then you do triangles. And you don't necessarily have to do them everywhere. I think you can, I think I've seen them done where it's like the corners or, like that, something like that, or like a checkerboard pattern where these are squares, but these are triangle. They have triangles in them. But I feel like that would be another added thing that you could do. I don't know that I would, doing it this small, you're going to have a lot of excess stitches in there, but hey, they're fun. And I think you could do these. They remind me of little quilts. So yeah, go to town, have some fun, get your scraps, make some quilts, paper quilts. And I will see you guys with the next scrappy idea. Bye-bye.